Hello and welcome to Please Stay and Crochet. Today I'm going to show you how to do a shell stitch. Before we begin though, you're going to need a darning needle to weave in your ends, scissors or something to cut your yarn with, your crochet hook, and your yarn. I went ahead and did this one in two different colors just so that you could see the shells better. If you decide to do your project in two different colors, you're going to wind up with a whole lot of ends that you have to weave in. So you can weave those ends in if you want and then put whatever border you want, or you can just make fringe on the outside, and then that way you don't have so many ends to weave in. If you choose to do it in three different colors, then you can always bring your yarn up the side. I prefer that if I'm going to make more than one color, I go ahead and just do three. And then whenever I make my border, you just crochet over these threads that are running up, and they hide well in a border. Or if you choose, you can just do in one single color, and then that way you don't have very many ends to weave in. Now, to do this stitch, you're going to need to know how to make a slip knot, how to do a chain stitch, a single crochet, and a double crochet. If you're not sure how to do any of these, please check out my previous videos, and I take you step by step on how to do each one. So to get started, you're going to chain up the length that you want your project, and then just make sure that it's in multiples of 6, or if you want, you can just do this little trick that I've learned. And since each shell takes 6, I'm going to go ahead and count 6 chains. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that gives me one shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that gives me 2 shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that'll give me 3 shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that'll give me 4 shells. And when doing this particular shell stitch, once you get to the length that you want, or the number of shells that you want, you need to chain up 2 more. 1, 2. Now to begin, we're going to go back to the second chain from the hook. So not counting the one that's on your hook, we're going to count 1, 2. And in the second chain from the hook, we're going to put a single crochet. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the third stitch, we're going to put 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, then in this third one, 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to count 2 more. We're going to skip 2 more stitches, and then in this third stitch we're going to put a single crochet. So you count 1, 2, 3, and in here we're going to put a single crochet. And then we're going to skip 2 more stitches, and then in the third we're going to put 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. So in this one right here, we're going to place 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're going to skip 2 chains, and then in the third one we're going to put a single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3, we're going to put our single crochet. And then again, skipping 2 chains, and in the third one we're going to put 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, and then in the third chain 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're going to skip 2 more chains, and in the third one we're going to put a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and a single crochet. So we count 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to put in 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now skipping 2 chains, and in the third chain we're going to put a single crochet. And this is what your first row will look like. Now since we ended with a single crochet, our next row we're going to start with a shell. So we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to turn your work, and right here in that stitch, that single crochet that you made, we're going to add 2 double crochets. There's 1 and 2. Now because this right here is on the end of your row, we're only going to do half a shell so that our edges will stay straight. And our beginning chain, our chain 3 right there, that's going to count as a double crochet. So we should have a total of 3 double crochets. And now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, which are our double crochets from our shell. So you count 1, 2, and then in the third one we're going to put a single crochet. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in the third stitch we're going to add 2 double crochets. If you'll look, this is the single crochet from our first row, and that's where our stitch is going to go. So you skip 1, 2, and in that third one we're going to add 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now if you'll look, this is our next shell from our beginning, or from our first row, and so we're going to count 1, 2, and then in the third one we're going to put a single crochet, which is also at the very top of our shell stitch. And then our next one we're going to skip 1, 2 stitches, and then in the third one we're going to put 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we're going to skip 2 more stitches, 1, 2, and in the third one we're going to put a single crochet. We're almost at the end. Okay, so we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then in the third one we're going to put 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then in the third one we're going to add a single crochet. And now we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and this actually is our very first single crochet that we made, and we're going to put 3 double crochets in this one because once again we're on the side, and so we only want half a shell. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now to start our next row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now since this one is at the top of a shell, we want to add a single crochet. So in the very first stitch, we're going to put a single crochet. And then skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, in here we're going to put 5 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once again, skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third one, put a single crochet. Now I don't know if you noticed or not, but you always put your 5 double crochets in the top of a single crochet. And your single crochet always goes into the top of your 5 doubles. And that's the whole pattern all the way across. And then once you get to the end, which I'll go ahead and work to the end, there's 1, 2, I'll go ahead and put 5 double crochets in here. Oops, my yarn split. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, we're at the top of the shell. We add a single crochet. Skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, this is our third stitch, which is also the single crochet. You add 5 doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and oops, there we go, and 5. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third stitch, which is at the top of the shell, we put a single crochet, skipping 2 more stitches, 1, 2, and in that single crochet we add our 5 double. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We skip our 2 stitches, 1, 2, and this right here is a chain stitch. So once again we're back to a chain stitch, so you can either grab one strand of yarn right there, or you can come on down right in here and get your 2 strands if you want. And we add a single crochet right here. A lot of that's kind of easy to remember, because if you come to a chain stitch or if you come to a double crochet, you always put your single crochet there. And then when I'm done, I just chain 1. I go ahead and cut my yarn, and then I pull it all the way through. I tighten it up a bit, and that makes my knot. I really like this pattern. To me, it's pretty easy for a beginner, and you can, like I said, you can do a single color, you can do 2 colors, or you can do 3 colors. Or of course, if you want to do more than 3 colors, you can always do way more than 3, just whatever you choose to do. So I would like to thank you guys for watching my videos, and just remember that when you're starting a new hobby, you're learning something new, just remember, small steps are better than none.